All right, welcome to my FX Buddies, the podcast. And I say podcast because there are multiple ways to enjoy this content. So, the favorite way, the best way, is to go to the blog. And the blog is at myfxbuddies.blogspot.com. But I know that is a lot to type in or remember, so wherever you are engaging with this content, look for a prompt of more, info, intro, description, something of that nature. If you activate that, then another box opens that has a link to the blog, the free blog. And you don't even have to put your email address in. So why would you go to the blog? Because the blog has the entire article. And I'm only going to cover, actually, is another heavy article day. So I'm not going to cover all of them again. And then the ones that I do cover, I only point out what I think is important. If you read the article in its entirety, there might be something that you see that you like better that will encourage you to hang on in there, right? All right. So, you can, wherever I post as my FX Buddies, except YouTube. And yeah, you could just do an internet search, but the best place I hear to listen is Spotify and YouTube. And I seem to have disappeared from the Apple podcast, but I'm sure it's my fault. They did send me something and say I had to do something, and I didn't do it, and yeah, so. Because my wonderful technical skills, I was like, I can't do that. But anyway, so yeah. All right, so we'll get into it. This is an interesting one. There's one or two good articles, but the rest is like reports. And I finally got the words to say what I was trying to say about the phone call between Marco Rubio and Sadani. And the exchange rate. So, it was Thursday. It was Thursday. Well, I was going to say in most parts of the world, but I guess it was Thursday everywhere, right? At one time or another. And hello, Norway. Thank you, Norway. All right. The closing, and again, I think it was just Baghdad. Oh, and Erbil. And Erbil is usually higher than Baghdad. So today, they're lower. Well, the value is better. 1380. So we're back down. Now we were there before, and then it crept back up, right? So you see they have 1385, 1394. So who knows what's going to happen over the weekend. I'll be watching. I would love for it to get to 1379, but it may not be necessary, but I want it to continue to disappear, right? So, yeah. So maybe next week we'll get into the 70s, the 1370s, and because if they're still posting these rates, someone's using them. Someone's using the dollar in the parallel market. So yeah. So once they stop posting these rates, what we want to happen is it's the same rate everywhere in the country. Just like here, our dollar is worth $1, right? Now, it buys differently depending on where you are in the country, but you don't go somewhere and they say, oh, it's $1.10, right? It's always $1. And that's what we want them to get to, where everywhere is the same rate, and then we want them to appreciate the rate, right? Okay. So the lead article that came out in the morning, the title that I made, Iraq caps ATM fees what it means for salaries and the dinar. So, they're trying to push people to go digital, use the ATMs, right? Use the point of sale. So they put out a document. Okay, it's here, trust me. So there's the document. So I'm not just making it up, but the document is in Arabic. So I did my best to, a lot of times when you try to translate a table, it gets all out of alignment and it'll put words like watermelon just randomly, right? So, yeah, but thank goodness for the Kurdish news. They pretty much put everything in normal writing. So here I'm going to read this, and this is good for the citizens, which I think eventually means it's good for us. So the Central Bank of Iraq has set the fee for withdrawing domiciled salaries. That's my phone. And who is texting me? Ah, okay. Ah, all right. Which should not exceed 6 dinars per 1,000 dinars when withdrawing from ATMs. How are they withdrawing 1,000? Oh, you know what? I take that back. They could. They have 1,000 dinar note. So they do. They could have 1,000 dinar note. So slap Tish's hand. All right. The So they put an official letter, right, to authorize banks and electronic payment. Um, Forgive me. I know, I shouldn't be doing this, but this is an important person. Not that you guys aren't important, also, but I know that person. I'm getting to know you, right? Anyway. Oh, insert foot in mouth. And I always say, good thing I use coconut oil on my feet as much as my feet are in my mouth. Anyway, I mean, it's not literally. But anyway, okay, so according to the central bank circular, which means letter, the maximum commission for cash withdrawals of nationalization salaries via electronic cards and point of sale devices is 6 dinars per 1,000 dinars. 3 dinars are allocated to the device owner, the payment gateway, and the other 3 dinars are allocated to the company disbursing the amount. This commission amount is deducted electronically from the card balance. Now, if I'm a citizen, I'm mad, right? I don't want to give up any dinars. But at the rate that it is right now, 3 dinars is nothing, right? I don't even know how to do that math. It's not even pennies, right? But anyway, so I thought that was interesting. They're taking these fees that are not even pennies. But someone who's really smart, figure that math out, okay? By the 1310, that's the official rate they tell us, right? On the CBI, what's the fee of 3 dinars? And like I said, trust me, I don't like having to pay 50 cents for something. Like PayPal, all of those things. Let me say, if you take the money instantly, they take some of your money, right? And who can wait 3 to 4 days? One day I'll be in a position where I can wait 3 to 4 days, right? But if I get some money right now, I need that money today, right? Right? Anyway, but yeah. But, they say that's more money than you had yesterday, right? So don't complain. But anyway, the central bank's letter stated that the maximum commission, okay, so we already read all of that. And see how they're just hitting the ATM people? It doesn't mention, so you can read this, and the domiciled salaries, I believe, means the people who get their salaries directly to an ATM card, a debit card, which is what they used to call localization. So, and it used to be state employees, but now it's also some private sector employees as well, especially in the Kurdistan region. Their system's called My Account. So this is affecting them. And I would be mad. Another thing, see right here, My Account. So that's the Kurds. I'd be like, you held up my money for 85 days. And now when I go and take some cash out, you want to take some of it? Oh no. But, what can they do? All right. So, yeah. So I was so thankful they came out with that um, plain English article. Are we already at 11 minutes? Wow. Okay. So they still didn't send the money. Well, actually, they did. I shouldn't say that. They did send the money, but just today. And then they let the retirees. The retirees got to go get their money. They usually get paid first. So yeah, and then they put out a schedule of when the rest of the people can go to the ATMs or the bank or whatever, just when the money hits their card, right? And it's supposed to be completed by Sunday. So we shall see. And here's another article about that. See, the disbursement of salaries for Kurdistan employees for the month of May begins tomorrow and ends on Sunday. So Friday, but like I said, they let the people go. The retirees got their money today. So yeah, so here, this is an article. Did I say a lot of the articles are like reports? And I know a lot of times people find them boring, even though I think it's good to read them. But I understand people don't have time. They're busy. So yeah. Oops. I had the mic like way away from my mouth. I apologize. So that was not your fault. If the volume went down, that was me. All right. 85 days without salaries in Kurdistan, purchasing power collapses and recession hits markets. Now, we had an article like this before, but this is a different market, and I wanted to show you. Look, they have sunglasses. He sells, okay, for someone who is just listening. So there's a picture of a store owner, his market. I presume he's the owner. And here's the type of things he has for sale. Lots of sunglasses, some canes. It looks like there's a little bit of like dried fruit back there. Some clothes, like the robes. And actually they look like the color the Shias wear. These other things I can't make out. Because if you enlarge something, maybe they're wallets. Maybe those are some wallets right there. But it's like is it haberdashery? I know that's a word, but I can't remember what they sell at haberdasheries. And then I can't really make out what that is, but that looks like maybe something for ladies. And then there's some nice fashionable sweaters back there. But no one's, oh, and these are probably shoes, huh? These boxes here, maybe? I don't know. But there's no one shopping. There's 3 people maybe in the shop. And so what they're saying is, yeah, you're giving us money, but we've been without money so long, we have to buy necessities. We can't buy things that we want. But so they're telling them they're going to get June next week, but they're not believing that. I don't even believe it, right? I'll believe it when I see it, but I'm doubting Tish. So, but I'm sure that they have lived in this system of maybe we'll get paid, maybe we won't long enough, where they know not to spend all their money at once, right? But yeah, so if you want to read that, that article's there. And so it's just saying it's created economic paralysis. There's a temporary recession. It's interfering with the daily cash flow from employees who constitute the backbone of the middle class. Sound familiar? This presents a double dilemma, a budget liquidity crisis and a crisis of confidence in the financial future. Okay? So he says if the recovery phase doesn't begin soon, it will take them at least 6 months before they can get back to living normal. All right, here is an economist. I feel like I read this yesterday. And I don't really like this article anyway. So, you know what, I'm going to skip it, but it's about oil. And it's Nabil Marsumi, who they call the pessimistic economist, right? So he's saying Kurdistan doesn't own their oil. It's all bought by foreign companies, which maybe it is. So they can't make deals. They have no rights to make deals anyway because they've sold all their oil, right? But yeah, I don't think so. Okay, let's see. This guy. So, you know how I'm always saying there's friction between the US president and Sudani, and we seem to be shifting more to being more friendly with Kurdistan than with Baghdad. Well, here this guy, academic and political analyst Dr. Akil Abbas, warned of the repercussions of recent government policies, arguing that the United States no longer trusts the Iraqi state and is clearly repositioning its alliance toward the Kurdistan region amid continued pressure on Baghdad, right? And look at him. Why is he dressed like it's fall and it's summer? Okay, never mind. You know that was the first. Look at that. He's got on like a mock turtleneck and a blazer. Is that a blazer? I'm like, it's hot as you know what over there. Anyway, I know I'm silly. I focus on the wrong things, right? Anyway, so here's another one. Now, despite the billions piling up in America, why isn't Iraq using its money to save its economy? And at the time this was posted, it was urgent. So they have massive financial reserves, but where is their money? Sitting in America, right? And so this is a different financial expert, and he's saying this isn't good. Yeah, America's strong, but they could freeze our money, and they have. Remember last year they asked for 1 billion and we gave them half a billion. So yeah. So if you're someone who is kind of new to this and you hear people, I guess there's other people that say what I say. Iraq is not sovereign. There's no way they can be sovereign if we control the bulk of their money. And if we control their money, how can we tell them, hey, you need to change your rate? Right? So we're the ones holding. I mean, you know, not us. Because if it was up to us, this would have been released already, right? So it's confusing and it doesn't make any sense. But if you understand this, this is how the real world works. Oh, I was telling someone, you know, it's an illusion that the US president is the most powerful man no matter what man is in that position, it's an illusion, right? They had a video, a show, and I'm gonna translate it. And it said something like, "Who's the man behind the U.S. president?" And I forget, like, people are mad about how much money Elon Musk gave. There's some other man, I think, that gave even more to the campaign, right? But and it even says something like, "And what is how who plays his hand," or something like that. And it's only 7 minutes, and they made it where I can translate. I can get the transcript and translate it to English. So I want to see. I'm so interested to see what they say. All right, so let's see. The current, getting back to the same article, we're at 20 minutes. The current fiscal policy tends toward safe freezing rather than productive stimulation. The economist, called for a radical reconsideration of the investment policy of Iraq's financial reserves, moving away from the traditional approach of freezing in low-yielding instruments and toward a more ambitious economic vision based on maximizing returns and achieving economic security. So if you read that, he really knows what he's talking about. Uh, well, if you know economics, right? Which not everyone does, but yeah, I had to in college. Anyway, so yeah, here's if you'd like to support my FX buddies, which is me, Tish Wash. Here's the ways, and this buy me a coffee will be a live link when this is a live blog, and Cash App is always live. $, lowercase t as in Tom, I s as in H, WASH, Tishwash, and that's PayPal also. All right. So, and thank you in advance. I keep forgetting to read that part, even though I put it there. I put it there so I would specifically say it, and I still forget to say it. Anyway, so worth $100 billion. Iraq's mysterious wealth on 3 continents revealed. Now, this is one of those reports I was talking about. It's not very long. But look, they have money in Spain and Britain and France and Malaysia. They have money all over the world. How are they going to get that money back? And wouldn't it be so helpful if they could get it back? And they have contracts with them, with those different countries. And look, they have stolen archives, destroyed documents. So if you're interested in things like that, stories, information, that will be a good article for you to read. All right. Oh boy, look at that. Why is that font so big? So this is about the budget schedules, right? I guess we don't need to have that enlarged. It's already so large. Al-Ziyadi is he's a member of parliament, and he's accusing the government of being unable or deliberately delaying the sending of the 2025 budget tables. And I would go with deliberately delaying. So he's just grumbling and griping because they want to see. I mean, I can understand. They want to live, they want to feel unstuck as well, also. And if they can get this budget done, that will look good for the current members of parliament when they go back to their places and campaign, right? They say, look, we finally got this budget done. We got you your money. You're going to start seeing services and projects, right? So I understand why they want it. But look at this. This is Atwan Atwani, Parliamentary Committee Chairman, Member of Parliament. So see, he is a member of Parliament. He's also the head of the Parliamentary Finance Committee. He said there is still no real ceiling for the budget deficit. This is because expenditures and revenues have yet to be studied to determine the overall budget deficit ceiling. But guess what? Atwana Twani is trying to get himself a position in the new government. So guess what? I'm not believing anything else that comes out of his mouth because he will be on code. He'll be saying whatever he has to say so he can get that position, right? So he says current revenues are sufficient to cover the salaries of central and regional employees and retirees. And he may be right, but other things point to no, that there's liquidity problems, right? Okay, so I guess we might use the last 5 minutes to cover this. So I was saying I didn't want to read into this popular mobilization forces file, but guess what? I had to. So apparently this group, this force, has been an issue with us, and at one time even Britain didn't want them there either. So they helped confront ISIS. So they've been around since 2014, right? So yeah. So let me go to, I think it's over here. So what I was saying about this, the relationship between the US president and Sadani. If you remember, when the election happened and we got the new president, Sadani was speaking from, I'm telling you what's going to be, right? He was doing the talking too. Now he's the one being spoken to. So they're telling him, no, you're not going to pay those people the popular mobilization. And what was the other? So here, this part says it better than that other article that's on the blog. But there was a reason I didn't want to post this. But so after the U.S. Secretary of State's call with Sadani, Parliament freezes discussions on the Popular Mobilization Forces law. So they were trying to make them a legit force. So then they could get paid. They could get martyrs' pay if they stop breathing during the their duty. So American concerns are unjustified, as the U.S. side had previously expressed its rejection of several laws, including the law criminalizing normalization. So that's another thing that's different from the previous administration to the one that's in now. So there's things that this president wants that Sadani was working with the last admin on. So there's friction there, right? So that was the wording that I was trying to come up with. And yeah, so is it going to be a problem? Who knows, right? Okay, so we're at 29 minutes. Let me go back over here. So, but you could read this, and there's stuff on X about it. It's a bigger deal than I thought and want it to be, right? But hopefully it's just, it is what it is, and it'll be taken care of. So, Oil and Gas Parliamentary Committee says no vote on the oil and gas law during the current parliamentary session. But, they have to say that because they can't say, well, we're trying to get this done. you know it's going to change the rate, right? So that's what they have to say. And we'll see. We shall see what happens. Okay, this is another one of those reports. Announced projects with no tangible economic impact, diagnosing the Iraqi investment environment. So if you'd like to read that, it says a gap between rhetoric and reality. And this, at least one of the people I recognize, this economic expert, Ziad Al-Hashimi. So if you're someone who likes to follow the oil and gas law really closely, this would be an interesting article to you. I like this one. Investment needs governance, not propaganda. Yep. All right. And this is more about how strong Iraq is going to be in the energy sector in the future. And I think that's it. Oh, now this guy. It says defense. Iraq will look different after 100 days. But I really like his suit. Isn't that a nice ensemble there? All right. But he's a political advisor. So I'm not sure why it says defense. But he's talking about the elections are only 100 days away. But he's very positive. He has really high hopes for his country. He stressed that the next political generation that will be born after 100 days will be the foundation for a new phase from which all youthful energies will launch, carrying new ideas and products that will place Iraq among the countries of the region. So you could read that. And that is the last article. So thank you. Thank you for putting up with my, you know, stuff. All right. So yes, again, 11 minutes and 11 seconds, a little icon pops up. If you want to subscribe, you just tap that. I think you might have to tap it twice. I'm not sure. So again, I want to say thank you, new subscribers. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for the encouragement. Accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals and pay all your bills. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. And subscribe, follow, like, join, whatever, because I don't post regularly. And if all things work like they're supposed to, when I do update, you'll be notified and then you won't miss an episode. But guess what? Even if you do, coming up at the end of this video, the last episode will be there. All right. Enjoy. Well, yeah, it's really late. So I was going to say enjoy. Well, I will. I will say enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame you are indulging in this content. And until next time.